Now the latest from ITV News Central in the East Midlands.
Hello, welcome to ITV News Central for the East Midlands. On tonight's programme, warnings over lip filler after a woman was left looking like this after a Botox party.
My lips split, the top lip split. I was in excruciating pain. The pressure was just too much for my lips to handle.
Details are revealed about what caused the helicopter crash at Leicester City that killed the club's owner and 4 others.
More anti-terror barriers for Nottingham's sporting events.
The loo that lets you know if you're in rude health.
Lincoln gets into the Christmas swing as its market returns.
And as far as your weather is concerned, low pressure is very much in the driving seat, putting a real dampener on any plans you may have for the early hours of tomorrow morning. The details later in the programme.
Good evening. A woman from Enderby in Leicestershire is urging people to do their research before having lip fillers after hers swelled to many times their normal size. Rachel Napier had the treatment done at what's known as a Botox party.
Well, currently there's no regulation around who can administer non-surgical cosmetic procedures. Rachel has now set up a petition calling for these treatments to only be performed by doctors, nurses and dentists. Danny Crawshaw went to meet her.
These images show the extent of the swelling. Rachel had had filler injections done by a beautician at a friend's house. That night, she woke up in terrible pain. Her lips had tripled in size.
They were pretty much touching my nose. The size was like nothing I'd ever seen before. The pain was unbearable. My skin had stretched so tightly. I didn't really know what to do. I'd never seen anything quite as big as what my lips were on my own face. I was shocked, I was panicked, I was really scared.
Rachel rushed to A&E. Doctors could only check if she was having an allergic reaction and in no immediate danger. The NHS wouldn't dissolve the lip filler, so she sought private treatment, where medics said the filler had most likely been injected close to an artery, stopping the blood flow, which had started to destroy the soft tissue.
I would have lost my lip. There was no oxygen to get to my lip. It would have died, and it's irreparable damage.
Luckily, doctors were able to dissolve the filler. Her lips returned to normal within a few days. Rachel now wants to use her experience to warn others. As it stands, there's no legislation in the UK that prevents non-medical professionals from delivering injectable cosmetic treatments.
There absolutely needs to be tighter restrictions on who can and can't do them, what products should be used, and actually, looking at an age limit to make sure that, people are getting these procedures done for the right reasons.
The Department of Health says it's currently exploring options to strengthen the regulations of cosmetic procedures and improve the safety. It also urges anyone seeking procedures to find a reputable, safe and qualified practitioner.
I think less focus should be put on the reason why people have these things done, and we should start focusing on what we can do to make it safer for people that do choose to get it done.
Rachel says the experience has left her traumatised, but hopes that being open about it will highlight the potential risks. Danny Crawshaw, ITV News.
Well, joining us to talk more about this is Mark Pacifico, who's a consultant and a member of the British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons. Mark, we saw what happened to Rachel there, really, really worrying for her. Is the lip filler procedure and Botox more generally safe under any circumstances?
Well, if a quality product's used and it's delivered by an appropriately trained medical professional, then it should be a safe procedure, whether Botox or fillers used. The problem we have, as was highlighted in this case, is that there is no proper regulation in the UK. So we have a problem of potentially dodgy products as well as potentially dodgy practitioners giving the products.
Is that a problem, Mark, that's getting worse in your opinion?
Well, I think with the more common use of fillers and what seem to be fashion trends, then there's a growing market pressure for non-qualified medical personnel to get involved in this. So BARPS has been calling for many years for tighter regulation. And one simple strategy the government could adopt is to make fillers, which are not currently classified as medicines and therefore don't need a prescription, to be prescribable only devices and therefore only deliverable by people who have the legal status to write a prescription: doctors, certain nurses and dentists.
And how close are we, do you think, to that greater regulation that you would like to see come in?
Well, not close enough, quite frankly. We've been calling on this for years. We very much like the Department of Health and the government to take it seriously. And this is yet another sad story that just highlights why we've been calling for these sorts of tighter regulations.
And the story we've just shown our viewers there is kind of warning in and of itself, really. But what suggestions would you give to people who might be watching this, who might be considering this kind of procedure? Where can they go for more information?
Well, first of all, these are patients who are having medical procedures. So by that, no one should ever go to a non-medically qualified person. So that's the first bit of research someone should do. Someone should ideally see a doctor, nurse, or a suitably qualified person who has a lot of experience and is registered with a recognised society, such as the British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons or a similar body or organisation.
OK, Mark Pacifico, we have to leave it there. Mark, from the British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, thank you for talking to us on the programme.
Aviation experts investigating the helicopter crash which killed the owner of Leicester City Football Club say the pilot's pedals became disconnected from the tail rotor, although how that happened is still unclear. All 5 people on board the helicopter died in the crash in October. Well, our correspondent Mark Goff has been looking at the report. Mark, what does it say?
Yeah, this is the clearest indication so far of what happened in this catastrophic crash. The Air Accident Investigation Branch has just published this interim report today. And as you say, it says that the pilot's pedals, which connect to the tail rotor, had somehow become disconnected. Now, those controls allow the aircraft to yaw. If I can kind of demonstrate with my hand, it's a bit like this. It moves from side to side, but it also enables the helicopter to turn left or right. And what the report says is that when the pedals became disconnected from the tail rotor, it caused the aircraft to make an uncontrollable right turn and it couldn't stop. So it went into a spin and it fell to the ground from about 430 feet. Now, the Leicester City owner, Vishai Shrivardhanaprabha, 2 employees and the pilot and his partner were killed. Investigators examined the wreckage at the scene and they found that a pin, a spacer, and one of the bearings were missing from the mechanism. There was also a build-up of grease on one particular part of the mechanism, and the grease had been burnt on. There was also damage and some debris in part of the bearings.
OK, so we're kind of getting an idea of what happened, but do we know how these parts malfunctioned? Yeah,
that's exactly right. I mean, this isn't the end of the investigation so far. You're right, we know what happened. We don't know how it happened or why it happened. And in fact, the Air Accident Investigation Branch said today the initiating cause and the exact sequence of the failure that resulted in the loss of tail rotor control is still being investigated as a matter of priority. Of course, what they want to know is why that pin, that spacer and that bearing became disconnected and is missing from this mechanism. And the work to find that out will continue.
OK, we will be updated on that shortly, I'm sure. Thank you, Mark.
New safety bollards are to go up outside 2 of Nottinghamshire's biggest sports stadiums to protect fans from passing traffic as well as potential terror attacks. Well, the County Council says the permanent security measures will be installed outside Trent Bridge Cricket Ground and Nottingham Forest Football Club.
Yes, our correspondent Peter Bean is near Trent Bridge. And Peter, there have been barriers there for some time, haven't there?
Well, that's right, Yaz. I mean, anyone who regularly crosses Trent Bridge will be very familiar with these rather unsightly metal barriers behind me. They were put in July last year after the terror attacks on London Bridge and Westminster Bridge. And while they were primarily a response to terrorism, these new bollards going up at the Trent Bridge Cricket Ground just over there and at the Nottingham Forest Football Ground just over there on my left, they're primarily about separating pedestrians from passing traffic. And today, sports fans and people who live and work here in West Bridgford broadly welcomed the idea.
Whenever the England cricket team are in town, the streets around Trent Bridge become packed. It's the same story when Nottingham Forest play at home, with nearly 30,000 fans on the move, many weaving in and out of the traffic.
If you've been down here when the grounds are pouring out, quite often people will walk across the roads, and we're trying to prevent that because obviously we don't want to have anybody knocked down and seriously injured.
So today, Nottinghamshire County Council approved plans to install these metal bollards. They're similar to ones already put up at Edgbaston in Birmingham. They'll go up around Trent Bridge and the City Ground at a cost of £850,000.
You've seen it for yourself on match days when everyone's coming to the cricket or the football.
It's
What's
really,
it like?
really busy. Yeah, it's just hectic around here. So if you did have those bollards up, it would obviously help with the control of the people on the streets.
Like the metal barriers which run along the bridge, the new bollards will also play a role in preventing terror attacks, like those seen in London last year.
I think obviously that will be a bonus. We are working very closely with Nottinghamshire Police and there are no current threats against Nottinghamshire, so it's not predominantly for that, but because of the kind of barriers we're going to put in, they will be effective against a possible terrorist attack.
Obviously people can get run across the streets, get run over, and also the terrorist thing, so people getting obviously injured or run over by terrorists. I think it's a very good thing.
Unlike past measures, the new barriers will be permanent, a new layer of protection for visitors to two of Nottinghamshire's most iconic sporting venues.
So work is due to start on those new bollards in the new year, and they should be in place and start for the new cricket season. And while, as I said in that report, they are permanent, I should just say as an aside that these rather ugly barriers on the bridge behind me are not. And it may come as some relief to people here in Nottingham to know that the City Council here is planning to replace these with something rather more attractive in the near future.
OK, Pete, thank you very much.
Other news, and police have released CCTV of 3 people they want to speak to after a famous tiara and brooch was stolen in Worksop. Burglars broke into the Portland Collection Gallery on the Welbeck estate on the night of Tuesday the 20th of November. Well, the Portland tiara, which is considered a national treasure, and a diamond brooch were taken. Police also want information about this car that you're about to see, which was stolen from Phoenix Park in Nottingham 3 weeks before. Well, they think it was used in the burglary.
A man accused of being a getaway driver after 5 people were killed in a shop explosion has told a jury that he is innocent.
Well, the prosecution claims Hawker Hassan and his 2 friends started a fire in Leicester earlier this year to benefit from an alleged insurance scam. Rajiv Popat sent this report from Leicester Crown Court.
Hawker Hassan continued giving evidence today. He told jurors that on the day of the explosion, he and 2 co-defendants had a coffee together in Leicester city centre. That's where the prosecution claims they finalised their plans to cause a blast at the shop on Hinckley Road in February this year. He was asked by defence barrister Peter Burkitt QC, was there any discussion about starting a fire when you were in the coffee shop? No, I didn't hear anything, was the reply. The allegation is that you were the getaway driver after the explosion had taken place. Hassan said, no, I would never do this. This is wrong. It is not my business. It has nothing to do with me. I would not do this even for my mum or dad. No. The court has previously been told that Hassan and 2 other men started the explosion to benefit from a false insurance claim worth thousands of pounds. The blast destroyed the building and claimed the lives of 5 people, including Victoria E. of Leather, who was in the shop at the time. The court has heard she was aware of the alleged insurance scam and was the girlfriend of co-defendant Arkan Ali. Mr. Burkitt asked Hawker Hassan, did you want Victoria to die? Hassan's response, I wish I was dead rather than Victoria. Hawker Hassan told jurors he was innocent, and he was shocked when he found out what had happened after seeing the news on social media and on the TV the following day. Hassan, Arkan Ali and Aram Kurd have been charged with 5 counts of murder, alternative counts of manslaughter and conspiracy to commit fraud. The three men deny the charges. The trial, now in its third week, continues. Rajiv Poppert, ITV News, Leicester.
Now you're watching ITV News Central for the East Midlands. Still to come on our programme this evening, the loo that can tell how healthy you are.
Thousands brave the cold at the Lincoln Christmas market.
And on the weather front, some pretty interesting conditions to get through tonight, but the weekend isn't looking too bad. Bright and blustery, but feeling fresher too. The details in a few minutes.
Now, as we know, it's been a challenging year for retailers, with many big department stores making cutbacks.
The future of the high street is one of the subjects being discussed on our political programme, Central Lobby, later. Well, our political correspondent and the programme's presenter, Alison Mackenzie, is in Westminster for us this evening. Alison, can we expect more decline next year, do you think, in terms of the high street?
Well, the guests on the Central Lobby programme had two opposing views. Some were saying that, yes, the high street is dead, the big chains are moving out and more big chains should go in 2019. But a different view from Pauline Latham, the Mid-Derbyshire MP. She was keen to flag up the success of places like Belper in her constituency, who have small retailers moving in, saying that they have an offer for the future. And that was one of the subjects we discussed today on the programme.
In Belper, in my constituency, it's amazing. The lights are fantastic, the atmosphere is amazing, but I think it's because there are so many individual shops and people go to Belper from a long way around, not just Belper people, because it's got that atmosphere.
What do they do? Do they target it and think, how can we make it better?
They have. People in Belper have campaigned against chains and been successful, and there's lots of coffee shops there, but they're all, or nearly all, local. They're not the national chains, yes.
Alison, we can't talk to you without bringing up the B word, Brexit. It must be impossible to avoid over in Westminster.
Well, it does, because local MPs want to talk about local issues, but they also have a vote, and Pauline Latham is one of those who confirms on the programme tonight that she's going to vote down the Prime Minister's deal in that big historic decision day here on Tuesday. We'll check out how the others will vote. You'll have to tune in, but it's a late one, Matt. It's 11:20 after the I'm a Celebrity and the local news, but we'll be there with all the politics.
Alison, thank you. I know it's the late one because I will be here doing the late one slightly before you later on. Thank you very much. Look forward to it. I was kind of hoping the B word was going to be biscuits, but never mind.
Oh, well, we can sort that.
Or beer, but no, it was Brexit. Now, tests are being carried out on our roads and motorways to give drivers the very latest information. It includes details about roadworks, lane closures and whether traffic lights ahead are about to change to green.
Many of us already use sat-navs and smartphones for getting directions in our cars. So what's new about the Highways England test? Here's Tom Savides.
By the vehicle and displayed on the...
It may look like a sat-nav, but this device is using the very latest wireless technology to improve our driving experiences.
So there's the information arriving, telling us there's a speed restriction. That's been broadcast to us by a roadside unit.
If there's a change in the speed limit ahead, the device will let you know.
Okay, so that's the information to the driver that the speed limit has changed.
The same with any lane closures or roadworks.
The driver needs to move from this lane across.
And if the traffic lights ahead are about to change, it will tell you how many seconds are left before they go green. The device works by talking to roadside units, overhead gantries and traffic lights, relaying real-time information to the driver. Trials are being carried out on roads and motorways where wireless technology is currently being tested.
These systems are interoperable.
Many of us already use sat-navs or our smartphones to get from A to B. But this latest technology, which is being tested at the moment, aims to give drivers real-time information on how our roads and motorways are running. Some of that technology is already available in your smartphone or your sat-nav. How will this make a difference?
So Highways England operates the network through a traffic management system, and that's not something that you'll get through smartphones or apps on the network at the moment. So we can operate our network directly into vehicles.
If the technology proves a success, it will be rolled out right across the country. Tom Savides, ITV News.
Right, we've got a story about a toilet coming up, but don't worry, it's not horrible, it's fine, it's not gross, it's all very high tech. We've looked at it, haven't we, and checked it out, it's fine.
Yes.
A group of scientists are designing a loo that can analyse your health after you've used it.
Yes, they think that their invention could be installed in our homes within a decade. Stuart Leiths has more details.
At first glance, it looks more lavatory than laboratory, but these researchers are engaged in a serious study aiming to create a toilet that could analyse urine to monitor a person's health.
We can measure the neurotransmitters from your brain, which actually come out in very small concentrations in your urine, and we can actually measure them in real time. And the idea is to provide long-term monitoring for things like when you should take antidepressants.
This is just a mock-up to illustrate what they want to achieve. Professor Baumberg is working with these nanotech PhD students who each bring different skills to the project.
I'm looking at how best to get the most efficiency out of the system, and how to get the best signals, and how best to understand the results that we're getting out of the toilet.
They want to use tiny gold nanoparticles to trap molecules that can be analysed using a laser.
So the molecules in urine we're interested in, they come close to to these gold nanoparticles, and the gold nanoparticles, as I said, enhance the light scatters from these molecules, and this is how we are able to detect these molecules.
They also have to find a way to get the sample to flow past those gold nanoparticles.
I'm working on the sensing mechanism and putting it into optical fibres, and with these sorts of systems you need like fluidic circuits that can flow samples through so we can actually analyse them.
They believe their intelligent loo invention could emerge from the pipeline in the next 5 to 10 years to bring relief for those concerned about monitoring their health at home. Stuart Leiths, ITV News.
It was a little grubby, wasn't it, towards the end there?
Yeah, a little bit.
But mostly high tech.
I think it's hilarious how they're all peering down the toilet.
Yeah, blimey. Something to look forward to, isn't it?
OK, the ITV Evening News is a few moments away. Let's take a look at what's coming up. Here's Charlene White.
We go inside the government operation trying to stop Tory MPs voting against Theresa May's Brexit deal. There's exclusive access as the chief whip met rebel MPs. He admits it's an uphill challenge. Millions of phone users are hit after the O2 network is hit by a technical problem, and...
Really? How incredibly rude. One never discusses a woman's age, Michael.
The British stars nominated for a major Hollywood award. Join us for those stories and more at 6:30.
Before all that, let's talk about sport. And Leicester City came up against the side managed by the man who led them to Premier League glory last night. Claudio Ranieri was sacked in February last year and is now in charge at Fulham. And it was his side who opened the scoring. Abubakar Kamara beating Kasper Schmeichel to score. Leicester were without injured Jamie Vardy, but James Maddison equalised with his second goal in 2 matches to bring the scores level. That was how it finished, 1 apiece. Leicester stay 9th in the Premier League table.
Now, if you were watching yesterday, you might remember that we told you about Leicester's ice rink, which is now open. Well, the professionals are back in the East Midlands early next year, with Nottingham hosting the British Synchronised Skating Championships. It'll be held at the National Ice Centre on the weekend of the 19th and the 20th of January, with teams from across the country taking part. Organisers say the atmosphere is always great in Nottingham, and they hope this year will be no different.
Now, staying with the wintry theme, it's in its 36th year and attracts hundreds of thousands of people. And this afternoon, the Lincoln Christmas Market opened again.
Yes, security remains tight with armed police on patrol. And this year, there's also a new map to guide visitors around. Kate Hemingway is there for us. Over to you, Kate.
Yeah, so as you can see, it's getting really festive here at the market. It's the first of the 4-day event. It's an event that's expected to bring around 12 to 13 million pounds to the tourist economy here. This year, that's new. There's even a souvenir guide that's out showing people the hot spots in the city of where to go to enjoy the festivities. We've been speaking to people throughout the day, some here from the Midlands as always. Earlier, we spoke to these people who were enjoying the festivities.
It's the first Christmassy thing we do, so we book it off every year knowing it's the first day of the market, and it makes us feel all Christmassy.
It's quite unique, just how everything's set out. It smells good.
It's a good atmosphere. Obviously you don't get that in Australia, so coming over here and it's nice and cold and getting mulled wine, it's great.
It's actually our Christmas do today and lots to see, so we thought we'd come along. This is representing our friend today who couldn't come with us, who's in hospital, so.
It's just so festive, it's so gorgeous. Yeah, I love it so much. Just the smell of mulled wine, the waffles, everything.
It's that smell of mulled wine that everybody looks out for, really. I mean, it's clearly very busy, clearly, really festive. People just milling about, wanting to enjoy themselves. Have to mention the security question, because obviously security has been heightened at loads of places across the country, really. What's it like there this year?
Well, we've seen armed police that are here today. We've seen the police drone that's up in the sky, and also the police have been up on the castle walls. We're told, though, that all of this is normal. This is what was in place last year, and that none of it is in addition to that, really as normal. Now, the City Council have said that it is purely precautionary from them. They say this is a very safe event, a festive event, and they want people to come and enjoy it.
OK, Kate, thank you. Did you get to sample any mulled wine today? Or I guess you can if you're working. Maybe now you're finished. Maybe later.
Thank you.
Maybe later. We're going to take that as maybe later, but not any at all while working, just to stress that.
Oh, it didn't look that cold though, did it?
No, it didn't. No,
Let's see what
it doesn't
the
have to be
weather's
freezing
doing.
though, does it, for mulled wine? Any weather's all right.
Let's get the forecast. Hello there, very good evening to you. I'm sure you'll agree it hasn't been the brightest of days today, all very dull, damp and drizzly. And I'm sorry to say there's more to come. In fact, if anything, there's worse to come over the next few hours. Low pressure, very much the driving force of our weather at the moment. It spent the day tracking out across the Atlantic, pushing through parts of Ireland overnight tonight. We'll put something of a dampener on any plans you may have, certainly for the early hours of tomorrow morning. As far as the weekend is concerned, a little heads up. It should start to settle down just a little bit, more in the way of sunshine, but certainly fresher feeling temperatures too. In the meantime then, a bit of weather to get through first. It's largely calm and quiet, a little bit grey and overcast, misty and murky. And then, as I said, come the early hours of tomorrow morning, this is when we'll see some significant rain starting to push its way in. Heavy downpours. We could see a little bit of hail over the highest hills. Certainly not going to be pleasant, accompanied by a strengthening breeze. On a plus side, though, the temperature's not really dropping away much from daytime values. We're looking at overnight lows, can you believe, of 11 or 12 in Celsius. This is where daytime temperatures should be at this time of the year. I think you get the picture. It is incredibly mild, but that is little consolation. Just be careful on the roads first thing tomorrow morning. An awful lot of surface spray with more heavy rain. The good news is, though, that as we head through the morning, the heaviest of the showers will blow away, being blown on some rather brisk winds. And into the afternoon, we'll see some drier conditions, and we could even see the odd spot of sunshine too. The winds remaining on the brisk side, and actually in terms of temperature, starting to feel just a little bit fresher, certainly, than it has done out there today, starting to feel more as it should do at this time of the year. We'll see more blustery wet weather certainly through Friday night and into Saturday. Very, very strong winds, just something to be mindful of. And then by the time we get to the weekend, well, look at this, not shaping up too badly at all by any means. Plenty in the way of sunshine, but the temperature's really starting to feel on the chilly side. See you later.
Just time before we go to remind you about our top story on the programme tonight. A woman from Enderby has set up a petition calling for non-surgical cosmetic procedures to only be carried out by health professionals. It's after her lips trebled in size when she had fillers at a Botox party. The Department of Health says it's currently exploring options to strengthen the regulations that are currently in place.
And finally, this is something we're probably all a bit guilty of. We thought we'd leave you with a warning about when you're using your mobile phone and maybe not paying full attention to your surroundings.
Yeah, have a look at these pictures. A man looking at his phone walked straight into a canal in Nottingham after he mistook leaves on the water for a footpath. He was absolutely fine, by the way, but maybe it is a bit of a lesson to all of us.
Oh.
Yeah, shouldn't laugh, so we won't.
No.
That is it from us for this evening. I'm back with the later than usual late update, and of course the ITV evening news continues. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.